Guys, it's been about 4 years ish. A little, actually almost 5 years. About 5 years. Being on various doses of testosterone, depending on where I've been at, conversations with medical professionals and stuff like that. I have been transitioning medically for it'll be 5 years in February. Um, February of 2020 was when I first started my medical transition. And I obviously have it's been a lot of different types of things. It's been good, it's been weird. Overall positive, I would definitely say. Um, but there's obviously a lot of things that have been neutral, boring, some things that have been negative. And I wanted to talk a little bit about those types of things and then give you guys a good idea about what that's been like for me. So I guess I'll start with like very practical things first, like the medical aspect of things. So as a non-binary person, like female to non-binary, being very observant about your transition goals and that type of thing is kind of a pretty necessary part of the transition because of not wanting to cross maybe the line. If you're really trying to get like a very androgynous appearance, you want to remain androgynous, and so you don't want to necessarily kind of push yourself into a field where you're taking too high of a either hormone. So I feel like I do have to I am observant of my transition pretty carefully, just to because of my desired kind of end result, and then also the way that my dysphoria kind of functions. um, so if I, am I I have not gotten here, but in how I imagine things, if I would become, incredibly male presenting or something like that, that would be uncomfortable for me. So being kind of moderately male presenting, mostly male, but like kind of more in the middle, I guess. That's kind of the sweet spot, and I feel like I've been able to get there relatively comfortably. At least like outdoorsy. When I'm outdoors talking to people generally, I tend to get gendered as male. I'm trying to think if I remember. I've had a couple of people in different scenarios, like sometimes at work or something like that. People I'll get like misgendered. I went to a party a little bit ago with some work people who I knew, and I got misgendered a couple of times. So like it happens sometimes. Like also people who, and those are no. One of them was someone who I've met recently. Another one was someone who knew me when I definitely presented when I just was earlier in my transition. So I had transitioned less and I looked more feminine, just in like my face structure and stuff like that. So that's been transition and all that type of stuff. With that, being a non-binary person and like passing as male, it's kind of a mind fuck just because it is a constant reminder that non-binary people don't exactly have a place in American culture necessarily. Passing as male as a non-binary person reminds me just of kind of being out of place a little bit uh in a type of culture that doesn't really recognize that legally or anything. But I'm also, not too bummed. I understand who I am as a person, and I kind of understand the limitations of our government, and I don't necessarily feel held back by my ability to accept myself because the government doesn't recognize me legally. So, I could also, for example, understand the importance of advocating for representation for non-binary, legislation, but there's that overall. And when it comes to passing as male legislation and all that stuff, um, I was able to get a couple of amazing, big, huge transition related things taken care of this year. Um, this year, I was able to change my legal name, which is a big fucking deal. If there were like cheer sound effects, those would be going right now because that was probably one of the biggest, like, one of the bigger projects, like the more challenging things that I've done recently. Big projects like that mentally, especially ones that are very personal, can be very emotionally draining. So it took a lot out of me. And it took a lot of money out of me as well. It was expensive as shit. So don't Yeah, don't change your legal name unless you have a lot of money. I'm joking. But it does cost a lot of money. So you need to have a bit of a disposable income to be able to do something like this. Unless you get, what is that called? A grant. There are several places that do grants. So look for a grant if you need one. Um, yeah, look for a grant if you need one. If not, you might be out of luck. But I was work has been going pretty well. Things have been going pretty well. I was able to do that this year. Feel incredibly relieved. Wow. The one thing that did kind of come up was I was able to get the documentation to get my sex marker legally changed to male. But there was just something about that did not feel right to me. And so it is still female on terms of like my social security card and stuff like that, but all my other documents have an X, which I feel is the most accurate. And it just would feel just not right and probably dysphoria inducing, not even gonna lie, to put it as male. So there's that. I'm so grateful to have had my name legally changed. I have a new passport. I have a new license. I am working on getting a couple of other things taken care of. My bank information, my medication. So when I get my medication, everything can be in my actual name. It is just people. Oh my god. One thing that I know about dysphoria that I think people don't necessarily talk about is it can sometimes present as this, for me at least, it's almost like this constant buzzing noise. And it's not an actual noise. I'm trying to give an analogy to help people understand. But imagine if there's like this constant buzzing noise that's like buzzing in the back of your head. So whenever you're outside, you're listening to the birds and whatever singing, the buzz noise is always a part of it. It's just a part of your life. And it's not that bad. You're able to kind of maybe push it away most of the time, but it's always there. And seeing that piece of paper, that stupid piece of paper with my legal name on it, and your name used to be this, but now hereby fancy court document fucking notarized stamp says this is your name according to the government. Like, silence. I hope people can resonate with that feeling, that quieting of that background noise. A breath of fresh air was really how it felt for me. Um, Clarity, I guess. I feel very relieved to have that changed. I think that a lot of the dysphoria came with kind of not knowing when you were going to be presented with your legal name. Um, I was on a business trip last year, and when we were doing like flight stuff, fucking kayak registration things, you have to sign a waiver and doing everything in your legal name and having your coworkers hearing your dead name. Like those types of things are incredibly anxiety provoking, incredibly dysphoria inducing, and yeah. But I was able to get it done before this trip that I had most recently, which was amazing because my name was read a lot at various points. Obviously, I did go also to a wedding, and the person knows my name and wouldn't put my legal name on like the seating arrangements or anything like that. But being able to have that, knowing that this is my legal name, people can't fuck with my legal name, bruh. Feels pretty validating. Feels pretty cool. So yeah, that was really awesome. So getting those legal things taken care of was amazing. um those types of like big deal transition things are over, kind of quieting down now, living just like assimilating into life now. And that's been quite interesting and quite nice. I told my wife that this was probably, I didn't like do anything to make it this way, but this most recent trip was pretty gender affirming in terms of like, I think I got like missed or mammed maybe one time. I think that was because the guy saw like my bank card had like my dead name on it. So when he was like, so he's like, here you go, miss, whatever. Um, and then later was like looked at me and was like, "Oh, Mister," and kind of even with those little hiccups, it was a very gender affirming trip in terms of like, yeah, not getting misgendered, being able to be. This was probably the year I felt maybe the probably the most still uncomfortable, still working on my, feeling confident entirely, but being able to be shirtless at the beach and everything, or at the pool and at the beach, and starting to feel a lot more relaxed about, just being shirtless publicly and having my like scars being seen. One thing that I feel is a very niche difficulty that I'm going through is I'm both kind of recovering from being raised in a very like oppressive environment where like covering your body was important, like showing any of your skin was kind of sinful. So I'm both kind of recovering from modesty culture and being like, oh my God, my nipples are out. Uh, and, like trying to be normal about that. And then simultaneously understanding that, oh, I lost it mid sentence. Anyway, um, yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that. But yeah, um, being able to feel more confident with my chest in public feels great. Um, the the difference in terms of like with scar dysphoria is it really is only present when I'm shirtless. You know what I mean? People don't see it otherwise. And other things where like I used to have like right after surgery, right after top surgery for black people. This ain't true for white people. I don't know what y'all white people, y'all nipples is different. But for if you are black people, you got black people nipples. Like I got brown nipples, right? And they were brown before I had top surgery. After top surgery, when you have double incision, you get your nipples literally cut out of your body, taken off, put on a little plate, and then put back on. Put back, onto your body, sewn back into your body. Um, During the healing process for black people, there's a layer of skin on the top that will completely come off, and your skin will be pink. Mine was pink for years, years. It's like I said, I'm about 3-ish years out now, and I still have pink on, I think, the very tip of this nipple and like a little C-shaped on this nipple. Um, Maybe I should probably do a top surgery video specifically. Maybe like after 5 years or something like that. But because there's some like why not? I'll just do it right now because why not? Like my nipples are a little bit different in terms of how they feel. So if people are when you're getting top surgery and you have maybe you're not sure about how certain things are going to go. If you have double incision, you plan to lose sensation. To my understanding, that's the best thing to do is to plan to lose like erotic sensation in your nipples entirely. Um, so there is uh like for me, I would definitely say one of my nipples has some of that that's come back. The other one has maybe like some tactile sensation. That's pretty much it. So don't be weirded out if that happens. Your body takes some time to progress. Like I meant, like even the color of each of my nipples is different. So, and I've said nipple so many times, it's a little distressing. But that's the top surgery stuff. Scar dysphoria is getting a lot better. I actually had a friend of mine, a work colleague. We talked a little bit, and they're also interested in top surgery. We talked a little bit about that, and uh, being able to kind of hear like, hey, your um your body or your results look good enough that I'm interested in getting a similar surgery. Like that does feel incredibly affirming. So while I'm over here like in my head, like, oh my God, someone can probably see my scar, the top surgery scars, and is thinking all these things about me. They're no, they're not. They're really not. And they were like, yeah, I can't even see your scars. And I was like, really? Like, goddamn. Like I'm over here in my head for no fucking reason. So those types of things, those real life moments, like where I have this stress and then I have this proof, like this evidence, like, hey, this thing that you're stressing out about, you don't really maybe have to have as much stress around it. feels really, really nice. And another thing that's really important, guys, you can't see it right now. Like, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but you can see I got some very, slight kind of muscle definition in the chest coming through. And that has significantly improved my own personal feelings about my chest, the way that my scar has fallen. I'm trying to show a little bit. My scar falls like right there. And so doing more upper body work helps push out my chest in such a way that the scar kind of falls underneath the muscle. So this is an important thing to me, making sure that I'm keeping up with just like my muscle tone and development helps just keep my results looking in the way that I feel most comfortable with. Um, so yeah, and one thing that's I guess important to mention is like this does become like a thing. It becomes like a thing that you're thinking about oftentimes because it's a life-changing surgery that impacts your body. I think about let me try to make sure that this is accurate. I think this is accurate. I think that it's accurate that I think less about my chest now that it's gone when I did when I had it because I would just be sitting down on the couch watching TV being like, "Fuck, this sucks." But now I don't really think about that stuff at all unless I have moments where I have physical discomfort. So even though I'm 3 years out of surgery, I still experience some soreness under here. I did have a hematoma on this side of my chest. So don't be reaching for no remotes. I was over there like maybe I could reach that, and I like sneezed one time. Be very careful during surgery and surgery prep and all that stuff. But so I did develop a hematoma. So my assumption is that might be why I'm having residual issues, maybe nerve related things. I also the drain was resting on a nerve as well. So like I had several different little things that made my healing process uncomfortable, and I'm still experiencing some physical discomfort here. But like I said, it is every couple of months it'll kind of come up. Like I had a sore period like last month, and I spent like I don't know an hour 45 minutes really just kind of massaging the side of my chest, and it was sore for a couple of days, just like you're massaging it really hard, but then it got a lot better. So you have to be prepared after top surgery to take care of yourself very diligently. It is not a one and done surgery. You heal for 6 months and then you're kind of done with it forever. You should understand to take care of yourself ongoing. And then even now that I just had that period of soreness, I've been trying to be a little more intentional about daily, every other day, a scar massage. Those things are very important for scar appearance and to release a scar tissue. I take this stuff very seriously, guys. These are huge, huge, huge deals. The surgery was life changing for me. Um, and I'm very, very happy about it. And it has caused there are some pieces of discomfort that have come up because of it. Um, and I also mentioned like losing nipple sensation is a very frustrating thing. Um, not as frustrating now as it probably was when it first happened, but life changed, your priorities change, whatever. Okay, think other kinds of things. Um, so I sometimes have some feelings about like queer erasure and then at the same time understanding that like I'm just such a like a I don't know flamboyant person that I don't think that'll ever pass as not queer, I guess. So even now like we're okay, so this is kind of what I'm thinking. A lot of people say like people transition because of homophobia because they're homophobic towards themselves, they don't want to accept themselves as gay, and it's like that just is so irrelevant to me because that would mean I'm going from passing as like a gay woman to a gay man, and it's just like either way I'm gonna be gay, or someone's gonna see me as gay or something. But yeah, that stuff doesn't really bother me. um so do you guys know that experience? If you're queer, you probably know what this is like, to go in to a restaurant with your significant other and they're like, oh, you guys just friends, you guys paying separately, right? You guys, there's no way you could be a couple that someone's gonna pay for both of you. That thing that happens to us all the time. And even for example, when I go out nowadays, it depends on the place, depends on how I'm dressed, how I'm if I'm talking a lot. Like if you can hear me, people are more confused about my gender. So for example, like if like I was sitting at the bar when we were traveling, and there were one time when they just I think gave me the check, and then another time when they asked specifically like, "Are you guys together?" Um, because I sometimes say like, people could be thinking that I'm just like we're just both gay friends. Like I'm, like a little gay boy and she's just like my lesbian friend. Um that's how we could be perceived. It's not accurate. They're not accurate descriptions of our identities, but that is how we feel like sometimes we can be seen. So, I'm wondering sometimes, am I erasing my queerness or something like that, or erasing our queerness together? And the answer is no. It was funny. Like, I wondered about this as I was jotting some notes on what I wanted to talk about. And as I'm talking about it, it's just like, yeah, that's such like a mental concern, but in reality, it's just like not at all a thing that happens. Okay. So, I mentioned surgeries. Um, oh, and the last thing that I wanted to do is I'm gonna, hold on, guys. I just need to, okay, cool. All right. Is this gonna work? It'll work a little bit. Okay, cool. So I wanted to just like show people my face. This was taken in 2021. Like, I think that I literally was just looking at the date and I forgot to check, so I forget. This is probably a little bit after I had started taking testosterone, and the lighting here is like not the best, but it's not too bad. Let me actually move this chat bubble away so that it's less there. Okay, so there's a couple of in this like even in this video, like it can be hard to tell what some of the differences are, but for me I can definitely see some of them. Like, you can tell much better in my two license, because I just got my new license photo. You can tell in my two license photos, like my nose shape has changed. Like, it's gotten a little longer. My face has gotten longer as well. My face is a little bit boxier, which I've mentioned a couple of times. It's gotten wider as well. I think I'm not sure if my nose has gotten longer or wider, but it has changed in its appearance. My ears obviously look different because I'm stretching them. But I feel like that's relevant just because of like differences in the way like my jaw and everything is shaped. You can tell that I had pre-transition, I had some teeny little bits of facial hair, but now I have like a pretty official pube stash, which I feel like is pretty killer. Um, but I don't want like anything crazy on my upper lip, so I'm happy with that. And then I still am working on kind of filling in some of the sides and moving the hair upwards. I'm on a higher dose. If as a side note, I'm on a talked with my practitioners and I'm on a higher dose of testosterone. I've also stopped taking finasteride, which was a medication that I was on to control hair loss as well as to control and manage excessive facial hair growth, which was fantastic. So if you are interested in that and you're interested in kind of mitigating facial hair growth, or you shave your face every day, that might be a really great option for you, because I've already noticed stopping finasteride some increased kind of hair development on my face. So we talked about kind of doing this for as long as I am feeling good, feeling like this is accurate for, what I'm wanting for my own transition, and then switching things over back to a little bit of a lower dose when I am done overall. So there's that. And I also just came back from a trip, so I think I look darker skinned right now. And I was in like a very bright spot. Yeah, and if this was February, like this was the winter, then it would have been after the winter, so it would have been like super light skin. Anyway, that's irrelevant. Um, yeah, okay. So, like I said, I just wanted to um give you guys a little bit of insight into my transition, how I've been feeling. Like, this is obviously stuff like how I'm looking. Um, my appearance is a part of my transition as well, so that's an important thing. I feel like personally, I feel like it's been going very well. Um, I feel I feel personally pretty good. I have I hope I have talked a little bit about like some anxiety that I have had post transition and things like that. A lot of those things have I've noticed they've been very, very closely tied with my intense fear of rejection, kind of coming from a childhood of religious trauma and things like that. And yeah, very like yeah, large complex difficulties I have with self acceptance that kind of transcend um, gender related issues. Um, but those things are things that I'm working on my own. You know, taking steps, doing those things in a way that is supportive to my growth and identity development, things like that. My expectations of my transition have stopped a lot. Um, and I also said I know that I don't have as much control as I want. So I mentioned before in way, way, way earlier videos that I was about even like for example, facial hair growth. Facial hair growth was something that brought up a lot of conflicting emotions for me. And I was not sure about how I felt about growing facial hair and all those things initially. Now, my opinions of it have kind of my stress around it has kind of alleviated significantly. And it's something that I've accepted a little bit more, kind of as a process. Like, yeah, this is what happens to bodies when they take testosterone. Like, kind of more of that type of a thing. Um, Understanding the limitations of medications like finasteride and stuff like that. You know, it's not like it's we could go shopping for different types of traits or appearances, but we can, you know, with the help of medical professionals, you know, get to a desired result with our appearance that is satisfactory to us, that is less distressing, or that, you know, provides you with some personal comfort. But being able to be on a trip where I felt pretty good within my gender the whole time and felt affirmed and yeah, that felt pretty great. And then the last part, oh, the other thing too, which was kind of interesting that happened on the trip is I um I actually like ended up getting my period on the trip and it more than usual was super super frustrating and like distressing. I think when I was talking to my wife about it, I think that it was just because of like being I don't know, I think I had been feeling pretty good on the trip initially and like pretty confident and not having tons of reminders about like your birth sex, I guess. Um but then having a really fun reminder of it and like pain and stuff is great and super fun and makes you feel really good about yourselves. And my wife said a funny thing and she was like, nobody feels affirmed on their period, not even women. So I was like, hey, you got me there. I feel you on that one. Um, so even though something like that happened on the trip, I still stand with that thing that I said that this is probably one of the more gender affirming experiences. Just being able to be myself and be kind of not super red as a female all the time, which was pretty nice. As a trans person. So woohoo, those things are done.